promoting and supporting some of the cornerstones of the American experience. It's all about family, faith, and freedom. Now let's get back to the Curtis Report with your host, Barry Curtis.
Thanks. Welcome back to the Curtis Report. Appreciate you joining us back here before the break. Great segments there. We appreciate you tuning back in with us. As always, you can follow along with us with the Curtis Report on thecurtisreport.com. The Curtis Report or thecurtisinitiative.com take you to the same place. That website is really blowing up. I'm very appreciative of what you all are doing, and we got hundreds of people signing up each week and signing up for the emails, and it's much appreciated. And we are the number one show on Christian conservative talk radio on Sunday evenings. We are number one in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Us, you did it, and I'm humbled as it relates to that. So if you're listening to conservative talk radio on Sundays, you're listening to us between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Thanks for making us number one. If you're not listening between 6 and 8 p.m., that means you're listening to a rerun. I love this station. They're awesome, 100.7 The Word Christian Talk, because the show's so popular, they rerun the show on Saturdays, too. So if you're listening on Saturdays, you're listening to a rerun. So, but it's all good. But Sundays between 6 and 8, we appreciate you being here. 55 people were shot in Chicago over the 4th of July weekend. 55 people shot. An additional 10 people, not of the 55, 10 other people died of gunshot wounds. So we have 55 people wounded, 10 people dead over the holiday weekend in Chicago, Illinois. It's the president's hometown, the hometown of Al Sharpton, the hometown of Jesse Jackson. 55 people wounded, 10 people dead. One of the 10's a 7-year-old kid. Where is the outrage on a national level as it relates to that? I don't hear the president chiming in on that. Can you imagine? And typically over the weekends in Chicago, there's an average of about 3 or 4 people dying every single week for homicides in Chicago. 3 or 4 people a weekend are dead. That is overwhelming the local police department's ability even to investigate. I mean, the city here in Dallas only has about 150 detectives. Can you imagine? That's 10 dead people, and these are various and different crimes. 10 dead people in one weekend. I mean, they're just tagging and bagging in Chicago. You cannot possibly investigate that many murders a year. Who's killing who? You're not hearing about this either. It's black on black crime. 93% of the crimes committed against black people are from other black people. Black on black crime. Black people killing black people. Chicago has the most stringent, the most restrictive gun laws in the country, the city of Chicago. And you know what happens when that happens? Only the bad guys have guns. And that's exactly what's happening here. I guess maybe the president doesn't talk about it because there's not a Confederate flag waving. Sad news from Chicago. Sad news. Lack of leadership. Hey, we've got a number of different folks coming up on the show here. This segment, next segment. Karen Garnett's about to come up, about to get her back on the show here. We have Scott Sanju of the Frisco Rough Riders is always a great guest. He'll be back. He'll be on the show here in a little bit as well, talking about the new season coming up here with the Frisco Rough Riders, new ownership. You know what? Scott owns it now. He's one of the owners of the Frisco Rough Riders. So I'm just looking for free tickets, okay? That's all that I'm talking about here. Just joking, Scott. Don't need the free tickets. Our next guest here, extraordinary lady, involved with an extraordinary efforts. I think one of the greatest efforts of our time, in our lifetime, which is the scourge of abortion, these death mills across the country that are killing babies. And making some progress. We have, particularly here on the local level, and Karen's going to talk about that, but we've got a long way to go. I want to welcome back to the Curtis Report, Karen Garnett. Karen, welcome back to the Curtis Report.
Thank you so much, Barry. Great to be here.
I appreciate you being on the Curtis Report. Look, but before we get into the Ruth Street Clinic, tell us, there's been a number of court rulings that seem to reverse some of the gains that we've made. Bring us up to date on these court rulings.
Well, let's try not to say reverse, but rather kind of temporarily put on hold.
Fair enough.
As if that's feeling a little more optimistic and hopeful as we continue to pray. Yes, we had the long-awaited Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling on June the 9th that came out on the merits or the constitutionality of the ambulatory surgical center provision and requirement of HB2. And that was great news. And by July the 1st, unless the Supreme Court intervened, then every abortion facility remaining in the state of Texas would need to be an ambulatory surgical center.
Right.
The other side appealed to the Supreme Court, and on June the 29th, right before they went into recess, the court voted 5-4 to place a temporary hold on the enforcement of the law while the appeal process continues at the Supreme Court level. And so these abortion facilities that were to be in compliance on July 1st no longer needed to be. Right. What's going to happen now that the court has recessed is that the other side has until September the 9th to file their formal petition asking the Supreme Court to review the case.
Right.
The court reconvenes. They will then have to vote again, and they will have to have a 5-4 vote to even take the case. So we're praying Anthony Kennedy is the swing vote. And unfortunately, he went with the majority on June 29th, but there's still the possibility that he'll, not
right.
go in that direction come fall. But if the court does vote to take up the case, then this HB2, Whole Woman's Health versus Cole, will be reviewed and argued at the Supreme Court level, and then we could expect a ruling from the court about June of 2016.
Right. As it relates to the ambulatory requirement, how many abortion clinics are we talking about?
Well, currently there are 17 left in the state of Texas, of which 8 or 9 are ambulatory surgical centers. So, a good 8 of them were going to close on July the 1st if this action hadn't happened. Yeah. But that's where we are right now. Now, we have to, in terms of victory for life, we were at 41 abortion facilities in the state of Texas only 3 years ago in 2012. Wow. And then HB2 was passed at this time 2 years ago, that epic battle that took place at the Capitol.
Amen.
So the fact that we're down to 17 and just, again, statistically, the drop in the number of abortions in the state of Texas, even in Dallas, across the country, we're seeing 12 to 16% drop over the last 5-year period. So it's going in the right direction as along with the reduction in the number of facilities.
But we have yet an additional reason to celebrate, though.
We do.
Tell us about that closing.
We do. Here in Dallas, we just a year and a half ago, we were still at 5 abortion facilities in Dallas. The North Park closed after the hospital privileges requirement went into effect. They had no local abortionists with hospital privileges. North Park closed. Then Robinson's closed because it was purchased by UT Southwestern, and then at the same time, the hospital where he had his privileges closed, so he's no longer doing abortions anywhere in Dallas.
Amen.
And now we found out in the spring that the Ruth Street facility, which had been open since 1978, had decided to sell to a land developer. And the day after the Fifth Circuit Court ruling on June 9th, Ruth announced that their final day would be Saturday, June 13th.
Amen.
And so that went through regardless of what the Supreme Court was going to do. And so we are absolutely rejoicing that place is done forever. No more children will die there. And we're down to 2. We are down to only 2 remaining in Dallas.
Amen. God is good. That
all
is
the time,
amazing.
all the
That
time.
is amazing. Karen, what do we have coming up? What should the good folks here in Dallas know about the Catholic Pro-Life Committee, and what do you want them involved with?
Well, they can go to our website, prolifedallas.org, and also follow us on Facebook at Pro-Life Dallas or at the Catholic Pro-Life Committee. Our work continues year-round. We won't stop until every life is protected from conception to natural death. We have the 40 Days for Life campaign coming up again in the fall. We'll be back at the Southwestern Abortion Facility at Royal in Greenville. Okay. And everyone can mark their calendars now for the largest pro-life event in North Texas, and that will be January 16th of 2016, where we will have the North Texas March for Life downtown from the convention center, and we'll march over to to rally in front of the Earl Cabell Federal Building, which houses a district court where Roe v. Wade was first filed back in 1970. So we will continue to pray and to march, and we offer healing retreats for those who have suffered from abortion, prayer and sidewalk counseling in front of the abortion facilities every single day to help moms choose life. All the information is on our website, so we'd love for people to get involved with
That's why Karen rocks. Your website again, Karen?
It's prolifedallas.org, and we're also on Facebook at Pro-Life Dallas and the Catholic Pro-Life Committee.
That rocks. I love that organization. We support you 100%.
Thank you, Barry.
Karen Garnett, Dallas Catholic Pro-Life Committee. Thanks for being part of the Curtis Report.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Yes, ma'am. We'll be right back. More of the Curtis Report in just a moment.